I hear you've got a problem with your house. I'm glad you came to me. I'm going to make you a video you can't refuse, because I'm the Rod Father. Welcome to Tips, Tricks, and DIYs from Remington Enterprises. Today we're going to repair a damaged section of sheetrock. We'll match the existing knockdown texture, and we'll blend the paint in so that repair disappears into the wall. The first thing we're going to look at is the damage to the sheetrock itself. If there's any material that's sticking out past being flush, we're going to trim that off with a knife. And then we'll take our patch, available in our kit, we'll cover that with our spackling and make sure it adheres to the wall. Come back after it dries, do our random texture, and then blend our paint in to make the professional look. First thing we're going to do is remove any of the material that's sprayed out around the hole and make sure there's no material protruding past flush. So we're going to do that with a sharp knife, removing any loose material that may prevent our patch from sticking. The next thing we're going to do is add our patch material. But this is a little bit oversized, so we're going to trim it down to fit the hole a little better. Now we're going to take our scissors. Our instructions say to coat the back of the patch with the spackling that came in the kit. You might want to wear gloves because some of this is likely to get on your hands. Be sure and coat the patch with a heavy layer of spackling. Make sure you've got all the holes covered. Should look like similar to this when you're completed. Next thing we're going to do is apply our patch over the hole. Once your patch is applied, you'll want to cover the outside. Press firmly to squeeze out any excess spackling and feather the edges out so they'll blend with your wall. I'm going to use my applicator to make sure I have my edges feathered off and shouldn't be visible to us right now. Keep in mind you're not going to get it perfect at this stage and you will have to come back with sandpaper. Don't be afraid to use plenty of spackling to do your job. That'll do it for now. We'll be back in 24 hours. Welcome to part 2 of our sheetrock repair video. Today we're going to continue with patching the hole in our sheetrock. First of all, if you remember, we got to use a palm sander, mechanical palm sander. You can use something as simple as sandpaper wrapped around a block of wood. Will work just as well. I've used that in many cases. You might notice when you look at sandpaper, you see numbers on the front of the package. The higher the number, the finer the grit, and the smoother job you'll have when you're finished. This is rated at 40. And you can see it's a very dense grit. This is 100, a little less. This here's some 320, pretty smooth, but it goes up into the thousands. We're going to use a 220 grit on the process today. This seems to be a good all-around grit for this type of work. We're also going to use a respirator mask, just in case there's any contaminants in the air. I'm going to call that good. We always want to make sure our surface is clean. I'm going to use a dust-free cloth and then a tack cloth after that. And now the tack cloth available at any paint store or hardware store. Our surface is now ready for the next step, and that's going to be our knockdown texture. I'm just going to use an all-purpose joint compound. And we're going to put some splatters on the wall just randomly. If you don't feel comfortable trying this on a surface that's going to be viewed, try it maybe inside a closet or inside your hot water tank closet. Go ahead and spread out a little further out of the area that you just repaired. I'm going to use a trowel to finish this project, but if you don't want to go to that expense and don't own one, I've actually done small areas with a block of wood. Just make sure it's flat and clean. I'm just randomly moving a trowel across. Don't be afraid to grab your spatula and just apply a little more in an area that looks like it needs a little more. And like I said, go out past your work area so it kind of blends in. And like I said, don't be afraid to just use a block of wood if you don't want to go to the expense of a trowel. Pretty well get the same results. You've got plenty of time to work with it, so stay with it until you're satisfied with it. It'll look a whole lot better once we get the paint coat on there. I'm going to call that good for now. We'll let that set up tonight, and tomorrow will be about painting it. Welcome to part 3 of our drywall repair. Today we're going to be putting the finishing touches on the paint and complete our project. In this case we used a latex paint which is water-based, which you're going to find in most homes today. This sheen on this wall existing was eggshell. If you don't know what color or sheen your paint is, be sure and take a sample with you to your home store or paint store. They have machines that will take a picture and look at the sample and be identified for you. A good place to get that I've found is sometimes behind a wall plate. I've also found it in a hot water closet or heater closet that may be in your home. I've moistened my brush first. It's not a bad idea. It helps keeps the bristles lubricated and lets the paint flow on and off a little easier. I've also taken the paint and put it in a more manageable container rather than the 5-gallon or 1-gallon bucket you may get at the paint store. I'm using a trim brush just because I have a small area to cover, and I have kind of a close quarters that I need to get around. I've loaded my brush and I'm going to start with trimming around the light fixture. We didn't have to remove it, but in the event you do, be sure to call a qualified technician to remove it. As you can see, I'm using a trim brush just because I need to get close to the area. I like to start in the center with my wet brush and work my way out. I like to finish with brush strokes from the center to the outside and kind of blend that into the existing paint. As you see, I'm kind of doing it like this. That completes our first coat, feathering into the existing paint. We're going to let that dry and come back later for a second coat. We're back again. The paint is dried. We're here for a second coat. I think that's going to do it. Looks great. This concludes our video on drywall repair. We have patched the hole. We've added knockdown texture and 2 coats of paint. Thanks for watching Tips, Tricks, and DIYs from Remington Enterprises.